What's up, Totem Pole Nation? Welcome back to Lambo and Matt's World of Sports. The Super Bowl is days away. It's a good day. It's a sad day. Kind of both for sure. For me, more sad because, it's just a reminder that my boys aren't anywhere close to it, And we'll get into that on later episodes, I'm sure throughout the week. Today, we are getting into our predictions, picks, some stats behind it, everything like that on the upcoming Super Bowl matchup. So shout out to Sideline Sports Network. If you want some Totem Pole gear, go to totempolenation.com. That's scrolling in the ticker, as well as the Sideline Sports Network accounts for the Chiefs and the Niners. Without further ado, let's go.
Super Bowl Sunday. All right, we are exactly 5 days away. Kickoff is at 6:30. Do not go to work on Super Bowl Sunday, okay? Don't go to work. Don't do nothing because, like I said, Super Bowl is the most watched, except for the World Cup, but that's a different topic for a different day. You got the Chiefs, you got the 49ers, the rematch of the 2019 Super Bowl. Now, both of these teams are kind of the same, but they're a little bit different. They added different pieces. The 49ers had Jimmy G, of course, Richard Sherman, those guys. But this is Brock Purdy now, all right? It turned from Jimmy G's team to Brock Purdy's team. Mr. Irrelevant, the last pick of the draft, takes his team a second straight year, not only to the NFC Championship game while messed up his elbow, but took him to the Super Bowl. Now, I'm not saying Brock Purdy's elite. If he wins the Super Bowl, that's a different story for a different day. He might be elite. I mean, nobody's seen a 7th-round pick take a team to the Super Bowl. Now, when it comes to the Chiefs, Patrick Mahomes, greatest quarterback right now, not debatable. But Taylor Swift plays a factor in this because the NFL is rigged. You know it's rigged. You know it's scripted. It's the absolute truth. We can find detail. We can go to Barstool. I mean, Arian Foster already came out and said the NFL is rigged and scripted. We know. I'm going to pick the 49ers to win this game, but there's no absolute way that the NFL wants the 49ers to win. Everybody wants the Chiefs to win, all because of Taylor Swift. But not only just because of Taylor Swift, Travis Kelce, the best tight end in the game, Patrick Mahomes, the best quarterback in the game, but the Chiefs have been there. Can they be the first team to win back-to-back Super Bowls since the 2003-2004 New England Patriots? It is possible. I like the 49ers. They have a way better defense than the Chiefs. I like the 49ers because they have a better running back than the Chiefs. Christian McCaffrey, one of the best running backs in the game. Weapons, the 49ers have more weapons. Now, I understand the Chiefs won the Super Bowl without Tyreek Hill, but the Chiefs don't have Debo. They don't have Ayuk. They don't have Jennings. They don't have George Kittle, but they have Travis Kelce. So between Travis Kelce, George Kittle, that's debatable. But I am going to go for the 49ers and Kyle Shanahan. The story behind it is great. Kyle Shanahan watching his dad coach to win the Super Bowls. Is about time to give that man his first ring as a head coach. So I'm going with those San Francisco 49ers.
All right. So before I get into my pick, let me just say, do you know how many pieces are turning? How many moving pieces you would have to trust to keep your mouth shut about the NFL being rigged? There's just not, and I understand you can find, little bits and pieces to put the puzzle pieces together. I get it. Okay. It's fun to do. It's fun to do for sure. But the actual reality of the NFL being rigged is just so ridiculous in my mind, at least. Just because there'd be so many people every single year. It's a rotating cast in the NFL everywhere. Coaches, players, refs, everywhere. That would have to remain quiet. I mean, I don't know. I just don't think it's likely. And then going to the Chiefs being the favorites here. So first off, they're underdogs on the books. And I don't know if you saw yesterday at Media Day when the Chiefs came out and got introduced, it was boos, nothing but boos for them. I think the Niners are kind of the general favorite. when it comes to who people want to win. I think it's the, recency bias, winners fatigue type thing that is just, people are over the Chiefs. However, I am over the Chiefs, but I really don't like the Niners. And here's what I'm going to say. So he thinks that the Niners are winning. Mr. Thunder, 14, what's up? Oreo, what's up? MK, what's up? Sorry, guys, I've not been checking out the comments. I'm going with the Chiefs, all right? And I got some data behind it, all right? So let me read out some data. Oreo's with me here. Oreo thinks the Chiefs are winning as well. Swain, bro, appreciate you. Appreciate you. Mr. Thunder, what is up? All right. So let me start. All right. Here we go. The Niners this year have a straight-up win percentage of 74% to the Chiefs' 70%. You would think that's an advantage towards the Niners. Since 2003, the teams with higher win percentages are 1-15 against the spread. Remaining games had the same win percentages. Next up, the Niners were 8.5-point favorites on average this year, while the Chiefs were 4.8. In the past 20 years, the team with the bigger point average are 7-13 straight up, 3-17 against the spread. Keep in mind, the spread is 1.5. The Chiefs are underdogs by 1.5 points. Now let's continue. The Niners had a bye week while the Chiefs played in the wild card round. Teams who have had the bye versus teams who played in the wild card round are 5-10 straight up and 2-12-1 against the spread. Let's continue. Andy Reid coach teams are 31-7 straight up with 13 plus days of rest in his coaching career off of a bye in playoffs and regular season included, not including week 1, because obviously that's 200 and whatever days of rest. We're not talking about that. On a bye week, 31-7 straight up. I got a few more for you. Oreo, appreciate it. All right. The Super Bowl winner has covered the spread in 29 of the last 30 games, while the spread has been 6 or fewer. Like I mentioned, 1.5-point spread. 22 games have had a spread of 4 or fewer, and the super straight-up winners have covered 22 of 22 in that case. Now, the Niners are 0-3 against the spread in their last game, and I think all of those other stats compiled gives me a pretty compelling argument here as to why the Chiefs are taking the crown. Now, to be fair, I'm sure if you went down a different rabbit hole and, looked at the Niners, you could find a crazy amount of stats for them as well. But these are the stats I'm hanging my hat on. These are the stats I'm putting my money behind, because here's what I will say. This is something for if you're going for the Niners or the Chiefs, either way. Okay? Like I mentioned, Super Bowl winners, 29 out of the past 30 of 6 points or fewer on the spread have covered. So whoever you think is going to win, if you're betting, if you're old enough to bet, I don't know who's in here watching. If you're betting, whoever you think is going to win statistically is also going to cover. So you would double down and take both of those bets, make a little bit more money. Now, this is a bet I have for people, which, again, if you're not old enough to bet, tell your dad or something, Here is this. The Chiefs this year have run the clock in the second half, right? Second half has not been about opening up the pass game. It has not been about, elongating the game. It has been about making sure that the game is run out with Pacheco or Edwards-Helaire. So their second half spread, they are 18-2 on the under. So the point total, not spread, excuse me, the point total of their second half points, 18-2 on the under there. So regardless of who you think is going to win, whatever that number is that pops up on FanDuel or DraftKings, that under is what you want to take.
Well, you're not exactly wrong. But see, this is a Super Bowl. Anything can happen. Injuries can happen. There's one key injury I'm going to bring out, even though it's not that big of a deal. Joe Tooney, a former Patriot center, he's a long shot away from playing this week, according to Andy Reid. A long shot away from playing. Now, the reason why I say that is because that 49ers defensive line now. A great defensive line, Nick Bosa, Chase Young is still there. They got? Armstead is still there. I mean, that 49ers D line. The Chiefs have not seen that in a while. They play the Ravens. They beat the Ravens. That's great. But when I look at how they're going to, when you talk about burning the clock, how effective will the Chiefs be able to run the ball in that 49ers defensive line? That's kind of how I look at it, because it's like those four guys, and I understand they blew the Lions game. They got ran on by the Lions. They got ran on a little bit by Green Bay. But this is the defense that we're going to see, that we're going to show, that this is going to be the best defense, all right, that we've seen in this Super Bowl. And I think you're correct about the under. I think this ends up being a low-scoring Super Bowl game. I don't think both of these teams are going to go over. I'll give you 25 points, because it could be a 21-24 type game. And I think both teams are going to burn the clock. I think the 49ers are going to burn the clock as well, because they run the ball. They run the ball like multiple different ways. They run power. They run jet sweeps with Debo. They can run it so many different ways.
Yeah, their run game, and it's not just running the ball either. They run so many of like little halfback screens, bubble screens, those types of things, which are essentially just extensions of the run.
They're not going to put the game in Brock Purdy's hands. They're going to put the game towards
to his credit, it was kind of in his hands in the NFC Championship game, and he drove down the field.
Well, no. I mean, if they do that, that's fine. I'm just thinking number one
it's not
strategy.
The game plan. Yeah.
The number one strategy is to take it out of his hands a little bit and put it in McCaffrey's hands, put it in Debo's hands, put it in Kittle's hands. Is what I'm thinking. They were down 20. They were down 17 points. So Brock Purdy had to do so. I'm not saying that Brock Purdy is not able to do that in the Super Bowl if that happens. But the reason why for the 49ers that I'm confident in is Kyle Shanahan would not make the same mistake as he did in the 2016 Super Bowl when he was the offensive coordinator and when Dan Quinn was the head coach. He would not be making the same mistake, especially in the 2019 Super Bowl when the same 49ers team was up by 10 points against this Chiefs team with that great old defense until that 3rd and 15 from Patrick Mahomes to Tyreek Hill. He will not make that same mistake again. He will burn the clock, and burning the clock will go into the hands of the 49ers. That's how I look at it. Any other thoughts?
I don't disagree. I still think I think the same could be said as like the other side as well. Like the Chiefs record when being up at halftime is really good, but the Niners record when being up at halftime is really good. Obviously, they just came back from 17 points. So, like, do those counteract? You know, like, I don't know exactly which way to go on it, but, like, I agree with what you're saying. I just think the same could be said if the Chiefs do have the lead and they have not exactly a two-headed monster, but they have two very, very good or one very good running back and another running back who has been good in the past and has shown flashes in Edwards-Helaire. Like, they can also think about how many screens they run to Kelsey, you know, just little two-step drops from Pat and he just dumps it off to Kelsey and Kelsey's coming off the line. You know what I'm saying? Those little screens like that. So like that's an extension of the run game as well. It doesn't just have to be force feeding the ball to Pacheco or Edwards-Helaire, which if that was the matchup, I'm taking the Niners. But I do think that the Chiefs have maybe not equally as many, but they do have a lot of other ways of extending the run game, just like the Niners do. Now, Killa asked about Chiefs or 17-0 Dolphins. Now, look.
Lord of mercy. That's like 30 years. That's like 40 years back.
That was going to be my point. What era are we playing in? You know? Because what was the 17-0? Like 72? Something like that?
1972.
Yeah. Like, come on now. Roger Staubach was a quarterback, dog. Like, what are we talking about, dude? Like, yeah, I don't know. What era are we talking about? I mean, this Chiefs team playing in 1972, I think they get bullied. I think that those dudes, like in those rules, and Pat's only going to throw the ball like 15 times in the game, and then they're just going to pound it. If we're talking 1972 era, I'm taking those Dolphins.
The defense is more aggressive back then, so that's not even a comparison.
That's what I'm saying. I think
it's way more aggressive defense. You could knock somebody's helmet off.
If we put that Dolphins team in 2024 and Pat is throwing the ball 40 times, and that Dolphins offense doesn't, sure it was, good enough to go 17-0, but they don't have Patrick Mahomes on the other side. So I think in 2024, the Chiefs probably win that game. But 1972, the Dolphins are bullying those guys.
It's okay. Y'all will learn. Y'all will understand that you cannot compare
eras.
That's outrageous. Don't ever do that again. Don't compare 72 Dolphins team to a 2024 Chiefs team. That's not even close. I think Travis Kelce will have. I want the 49ers defense to hold him to at least maybe one touchdown. I wouldn't be surprised if he gets two. I wouldn't be surprised.
To look at his line right now.
I wouldn't be surprised if Travis Kelce gets two touchdowns, but I want the 49ers defense to hold them to one. The Ravens let Travis Kelce off the hook. I don't think the 49ers defense is going to let him off the hook. I think they're going to do some type of double teaming on him. They're going to have to double team. You ain't go single coverage. I don't know why the Ravens did a lot of single coverage on Kelce. I don't understand that. They don't have Tyreek Hill on the other side. They did a lot of single coverage, and I don't trust Kadarius Toney. I don't trust any of these other damn receivers yet because the main guy has been Travis Kelce and Isaiah Pacheco. So you better double team Travis Kelce. If you don't, you're probably most likely going to lose. And it's going to come down to who turns the ball over less as well. I think the 49ers won't turn the ball over as much, but the Chiefs, they can turn the ball over. Patrick Mahomes can sling it just a little bit and force some turnovers, but like I said, I understand Brock Purdy threw 4 interceptions against the Ravens, who are not in the playoffs. But who do I trust as far as ball control and not turn the ball over much? The 49ers, just because they can, run the ball, not force themselves on the turnovers. But when it comes to the Chiefs, they can sling it multiple times. We've seen tip balls. We've seen wide receivers drop off, their hands. We see Patrick Mahomes make, little simple mistakes that you don't see before.
I will say this, though. We both think this is going to be a close game, right? I think most people think this is going to be a close game. Who else since Brady? Who else? Maybe Aaron Rodgers, but who else with a minute 30 left on the clock are you trusting more than Pat Mahomes to go get you a score? Like, obviously, Aaron had his run of doing all that for like 6 years-ish. Tom, obviously. But, Pat Mahomes, I think, is up there with both of them when it comes to ice in his veins, fourth quarter game-winning drive, gotta have it. Who are you trusting more than Pat? Especially in this game, I'm trusting him more than Brock to go lead a game-winning drive. Score at half, dude, I don't know.
I don't know either.
14-10.
I'll give you 3-3. I give you both defenses will create some type of shutout. and then they'll probably score towards the second quarter. Both of these teams are going to fill each other out in the first quarter, and then the second quarter they're going to expand it and they're going to open up the playbook. So don't be surprised the first 3 or 4 drives and no scores.
Yeah, I'm with you there.
But this is it for Lambo Basketball. Supposed to like, comment, and subscribe to Total Pro Nation. We want to thank Science for the platform. As always, we'll be back for the next episode. Adios. Y'all have a